I go into this alleyway and I, like, broad daylight, stupid 18-year-old kid, started spray painting. Cop rolled up on me immediately.
Bad timing. Welcome to the Creative Slash Podcast, where we explore what happens when creativity collides with everything else. I'm Brad Woodard, and I'm joined here with my good friend and co-host, Dustin Lee. This is your weekly dose of real talk about making it as a creative human. In today's episode, we had an impromptu hangout with one of our longtime mutual friends who happens to be a wildly talented lettering artist and font designer, has the largest collection of vinyls and pets of anyone we know, and is fueled by heavy metal. It's Jason Carne.
Brad, I think that someone finally has you beat on their background. Like, I think Jason's background.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Slides in ahead of yours a bit. Like, for the first time, because yours is good.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got some good stuff back there. I have that same exact pennant somewhere. It used to be up over my door back this way at some point, but I changed it to like something else there. But dude, this was a COVID thing where I just was like, I'm going to cover every square inch of this room with all the stuff I have. Yours feels way more like intentional and organized, though. I will say that.
Okay. Well, thanks. It was funny because when I started setting mine up, like a lot of my stuff's just not put up back here. But when we got this house, it had all the built-in shelving, and I was like, it's going to be behind me. I might as well just make it my set for all of my videos and stuff. So I just try to curate at least what's like right behind me immediately.
Yeah, everything feels like a nice color palette and curated. One day I want to do that for all my records, make one of those built-in shelving units.
Oh, someday. Man. That would be incredible. You have so many.
I don't think the IKEA stuff is going to last forever.
Although they really did make a great shelf for records, like it's perfect.
Yeah, they do fit totally perfect, but I wonder of like their longevity and strength. You know, like I feel like one day I'm going to go downstairs to like 4,000 records being all over the floor.
Yeah, they're just going to disintegrate over time.
Well, dude, thank you so much for like. I happened to talk to you today, and we happened to really want to see if we could get a guest today, so we invited you last minute, but like you are easily for me top 3, really wanted to have you on, so thanks for coming on last minute because I always look forward to talking to you.
Yeah, glad to do it, man. It's always nice to talk to you guys.
Dustin, did you want to ask did you have a question to ask to start it off?
Yeah, do you believe in ghosts? And if so or if not, like explain. Would love to know that. I think I know.
You think it was no for a very long time, for almost my whole life. But
and why was it no? Wait, why was it no? Because
I've always been like a science guy, you know, like something. There's always an explanation, you know, like there could be a draft, it could be some weird light source, it could be this or that. The stuff that's like paranormal investigators on TV, like that's all bullshit, you know, like that's bad video editing and you know, like that's not it. But I do believe that there's something. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is, but let me tell you this. One time we rented an Airbnb. It was like an engagement party thing that we just had at this house that was like way out in the sticks in Pennsylvania. And it was just kind of like a weird vibe all night at the place. But then the next day when we were packing up in the morning, like my wife and her friends, they're out front. I'm last to leave. I'm getting everything ready. And then I hear, Jay, come here. And so I walk into the other room, nobody there. And then I hear Jay, again, low, in the kitchen, nobody there. I go outside, everybody else is outside. There is none of our party was inside at all. Freaked me out. That was really weird.
So all of a sudden there's like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this.
So who do you think it was? Like,
I don't know. Like it's weird that it was like my name. You know, it'd be one thing if it was just like a weird sound over there and like I couldn't explain it. But like, saying your name, hearing it out loud, like when nobody else is around, is a strange feeling.
Yeah. God, is that you? What is it? That's an interesting experience.
So I never really believed in like ghosts very much. Like I thought something was happening. and like, suppose this isn't proof of ghosts, but something that made me much more receptive to ghosts was when I realized, like, when you look at the light spectrum and you see that there's like visible human color and it's like on like a 12, I don't know, like a 12-inch long scale, it's like a thumbnail, it's like a
Yeah.
half inch, something like that. And maybe it's a little more than that, but I remember seeing that and then just like realizing how many things were happening around us that aren't registered by our eyes.
Interesting.
And then I was like,
Mhm.
is it really that outrageous that things could be going on around us that, are not like, that doesn't mean it has to be ghosts, I guess, but like my mind automatically went ghosts, of course.
Science proved that science helped you believe in ghosts.
Yeah, or like multiverses or like different dimensions, or like maybe all this energy stuff people talk about isn't so crazy,
Or color, yeah, people see colors for certain people, like an aura around them. That's interesting. I was the same with you, Jason. Like, I didn't really have I just never had any experiences with it. Like, nothing that felt supernatural, anything. And I really didn't have any fear around it because I never had those experiences. My wife, on the other hand, is always telling me just like how, all these freaky stories when she's a kid. And I'm like, okay, some of those sound sensationalized, or you were a kid and all this kind of stuff. But I mean, she very much believes in it. So there's a part of me that got really inquisitive, and I'm just curious if that actually is something. Well, so the only thing that I've had that was even close was my son when he was like, I don't know, 4, 5. He had like a little camera, a little video camera that he got, little kid one, and he put it in the bathroom upstairs. No one else was upstairs. He put it in there, let it roll, and then shut the door and just had it turn on. And then he came back a little bit later and checked on it to see if anything happened. Dustin, you saw that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, the camera moves around the bathroom and then goes back. And my son was freaked out. Like, he slept in our bed for so many weeks after that.
Like it looked like definitely something did it. It didn't seem like just like randomly something happened. You were like something did this.
Yeah, it's freaky.
That's wacky.
But okay, here's something about, like, I always wonder, you were raised Christian, Brad.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured it out.
There's accounts of ghosts all over the Bible. Like, not just the Holy Ghost, but like there's literally like ghosts,
spirits
in the Bible. Yeah, spirits. So like, it always seems funny to me, and this is coming from someone that goes, I'm Christian, I go to church. Like, why would Christians especially not believe in ghosts? Like, was there a cutoff limit, or why would it be that there's not ghosts?
Yeah, that is an interesting one. I don't know. There was a lot of that stuff. They said, they took a lot of pagan practices and pagan holidays and converted them into Christian holidays and then denounced them, like, really interesting thing. Most of our holiday celebration stuff, it originates from like pagan rituals and things. And I think it was just
there are a lot of ancient gods that have a lot of similar features, like, the December 25th, birthday. It's the disciples, the virgin birth, like all that stuff has been in former religions that predate Christianity. But like, maybe that was like a holdover, like the whole ghost thing from the past. And, maybe it wasn't widely accepted in Christianity. I don't really know.
It's like, well, that's ours now. And this is kind of, it's really weird what they did within the Christian community. Like, it's interesting what is not acceptable, what is acceptable, especially when you like just listen, like any of those stories in the Bible, you're just like, there's some wild stories about magic, about all sorts of things, ghosts and all that. But yeah, I think it's,
I heard, this really interesting argument for Jesus the other day or something. It was by Alex. It's like a really big, influential guy that talks about, debates with Christians about apologetics.
O'Donnell, is it Alex O'Donnell or what's
something like that? He's from the UK.
Yeah.
But he's typically very skeptical. And he brought up this point I'd never heard that I thought was really interesting. And he said, Jesus was this really influential person. Like, whatever the case is, lots of people knew of him and died for him, believed that he was the Son of God, all these things, right? And even if you didn't believe for sure that he said certain things and that they had been changed over time, like quotes from the Bible, I think he called it like the Roosevelt, like, gravitational effect, or I'm messing it up, something like that. He said, sometimes you hear a quote and someone attributes it to Roosevelt, and then you go, oh yeah, like I could picture Roosevelt saying that. And then you find out Roosevelt didn't say it, but you're like, well, it sounds like Roosevelt could have said that.
Yeah.
And they were saying, when you hear these things about Jesus, all these people at that time, even when they would hear these really wild beliefs or claims, they were like, well, yeah, that could definitely be. And they're like, so just the fact that people in that time would all be like, oh yeah, well, that definitely could be about this one person, says something like about how influential the person was, and what would it take for you if someone attributed Roosevelt with some amazing supernatural thing to be like, oh yeah, it does sound. Thought it was an interesting point, especially coming from like an agnostic, like about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like keeping the tradition of that person alive through like oral history and story and things like that, that it feels genuine, even though it may not be. And as long as it's like for the greater good, I see no problem with it. Like a lot of what's written in the Bible, didn't it come like 30 to 90 years like after Jesus's death? So like a lot of it's not like firsthand account. So that's already kind of like passed down. So like, I don't think somebody's like sitting there with Jesus directly, like, let me write that down. Hold on, like
there's a stenographer there all the time.
Although I think they were like an oral, it was like
more like hammer and chisel, I guess. But
I guess that's true.
I think it was like an oral tradition type culture. That's like, it wasn't unusual to write things later. Things were passed down through stories, weren't they? You might know more about that, Brett. And then I feel like it wasn't uncommon, I guess, for things to be recorded later. Anyways.
Yeah, especially in the Bible. Yeah, I think it's even more than, I thought it was over, like some of that stuff was over like hundreds of years, I thought, but I'm not positive. But
anyways.
You got off at a little tangent, but that was interesting.
It was interesting, yeah. And then I was like, are we allowed to talk about God on this podcast? Yeah, of course.
Oh, so many people have brought up God on this podcast.
Yeah, it comes up all the time.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you, Jason. So we traded work multiple times because I love your lettering, and obviously you've pulled me in for some illustration work. I remember doing an illustration for you, well, for your wife actually. Was it her birthday? Is that what it was? Was that the occasion, or was it an anniversary?
I think it was a birthday gift. Yeah, with all of her favorite pets surrounding her and everything. It was awesome. We still have it hanging up in our living room.
Oh man, well that's awesome to hear. That one was so fun to work on, and I didn't bring it up to talk about my illustration. I more brought it up because I thought it was fascinating when you were like, she loves animals, and I was like, I love animals. This is cool. Like, yeah, well, tell me what animals what pets, and you're like, well, let me send you was it like a Dropbox folder, and you're like, let me just send you some of her pets, and you were over like 100. I felt like there were so many, or in the 90s or something like that. And I just was scrolling through. I was like, you have all of these in your house? You guys are like the equivalent of like, you bought a zoo. But
she's always had a lot.
My goodness.
It really started with just pretty much. I mean, there's a few of them that we like, share like responsibilities with and stuff like, the cats and the dogs and stuff like that. But all of, like the reptiles, the small animals, stuff like ferrets and rabbits, like that's her game,
Man.
But yeah, she has a bunch of stuff. Like she has like an Argentinian tegu. She's got savanna monitors. She's got all sorts of different snakes. She's got a whole like menagerie down there. Chinchillas. It's
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How many do you think you guys have?
I'd guess we're like in the neighborhood of like 30 to 40 right now.
Okay. Maybe she's counting like the mice and things. Yeah.
Yeah. We had like a group of like mice and rats and stuff for a while too. Not for the snakes or feeding or anything. They were more like pet animals, but yeah, we've had a whole bunch of stuff. Like we have a duck outside right now. 4 cats, a big German Shepherd. We've got everything.
Goodness. So so did she bring these into the relationship, or were these like acquired together while you guys were together?
I think it's like her sort of like childhood dream, like coming to life in adult form, because she grew up in a funeral home. Her parents ran a funeral home. So like you couldn't have anything really.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She had a cat and like a very small, like a Chihuahua, like that's really all she could have, because you can't have like a giant dog running around barking upstairs while there's a viewing going on and all that. So once like, she was old enough and we were out of there and everything, she's like, I want a dog. I want this. It started with a bearded dragon. That was like the first exotic animal. We got it from PetSmart. And then she's like, oh, let's do a snake. And then, it just kind of grew from there.
Whoa. Okay.
Did that impact her? Like, what's her thoughts on death? Like, I feel like that's like oftentimes people that are in those environments, like grow up or not grow up, but work in funeral homes. Well, oftentimes they have very little fear of death because they're around it so much. Like, does she have a unique take on it because she grew up in that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she has a whole lot of fear of it. I think in some senses, maybe she's even like a little desensitized to it because it's like such like a natural part of her everyday life. Like you could just walk downstairs and like, oh, there's a guy in a casket, like that's just you going to school as a kid. So yeah, like I don't know if it also like fueled her love of like horror movies and stuff too. Like I feel like that kind of rubbed off maybe at a young age, but like all October, like we watch a horror movie every night. Like it's Halloween, The Thing, Aliens, we've been doing that for years. So we're pretty big into that. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, I don't think she's like, too concerned with death or too bothered by it or anything.
That's wild.
So she's shifting into talking about like the design stuff. You've been freelancing for, what has it been now? Like 15 years?
Yeah. Coming up on like 20, I'd even say.
Wow.
Because 2006 is when I graduated high school. Then I did like one semester of like trying to do architecture, but I found out you had to be an engineer. You can't just be a draftsman anymore. And I was yeah, math's not my thing. And, I'm not interested in that. So when I came home, like I started hanging out with these guys from school and they were getting into bands. And so I was like, oh, I could do a flyer for your show and, let me do some merch graphics for you and your logo. And so that was like late 2006, early 2007. So we're like, yeah, I guess 18 years in at this point. There have been times where I was like doing other things, but I've always sort of like had that, going in the background, even if I was working construction or working at a like a retail job or things like that early on.
I was going to initially ask you what your days look like now. I was curious how much you worked, and then I kind of got thinking about like how you got into different things. But like, how much would you say like back then for people listening that are starting in design? Like, I think they're trying to get themselves established where they can be freelancers. Like I remember that was my dream. Just the idea of not having to go to a day job was my dream. And I really couldn't get a sense for how much I had to work. Like how much do you feel like you worked in the early years to get it set up? And how much do you work now? Like what does your work schedule look like?
I feel like I can't give like very sound advice for how I started because it depends on like how much you give a shit, right? Because back then, like I was living with like 3 guys in this house and we were all like these metalheads and we were, just kind of like, oh, the power went out. Oh, well, like we'll put it on, tomorrow, like we weren't like really hustling to do great. We were like just getting by and we're like, yeah, we can eat some, beefaronis today or something. And like, that's great. So like, I wasn't killing it starting out, like yeah. I was doing MySpace layouts were like the first big thing I was doing. I would get a couple $100 for a MySpace layout and that was more than I was making all week at a job. Like I would work like grocery stores, like doing overnight stocking, or I would do, I used to sell computers at Circuit City. So like something I could do in like 10 hours was more than I was making in 40. And I was like, okay, this is like something that can actually be a career and a job. Like I didn't foresee that MySpace was like, it was on borrowed time already, like that was running City. Out like just as it was starting to do well. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a thing anymore either. But like the merch game kind of picked it up for me. Like, okay, maybe the layouts aren't doing anything anymore, but I'll design a couple shirts for your next tour. Or, like I'll go on tour with you and sling your merch. Like I did that for a few bands and did a couple short run tours like on the East Coast and stuff. And that was fun. But yeah, like I wasn't spending like all day, every day. I wasn't cold calling. It was just like a lot of connections through local music scene stuff. And like, oh yeah, Jay can do that. Like hit him up for your album art or for the flyer. So it's still that way today. Like I don't advertise. I don't really reach out to a lot of places. It's just kind of referral, word of mouth. But today it's more of like a full day sort of thing. Like I'm at my computer at 9, 10 o'clock every day, and then I'm here till 5, 6 o'clock at night. not every day, you know, that's the beauty of being a freelancer. Like sometimes if you want to just go take the afternoon off, you can. Like as long as you don't have deadlines or something, go ahead.
Yeah.
What if you don't have like any work coming in at the time? Like, will you, like, for instance, like I always feel like I can work all day because I'm like, there's always something I feel like I could be doing to maintain the business. But if you like don't have like any jobs coming in, do you just kind of like just not go to the office and just do whatever? Or do you do things anyways out of sort of a,
Feel like you need
I don't
to
know.
keep busy.
Yeah, like just to keep in the practice of it.
It depends, you know, like some days there will be days where I just don't really do a whole lot. You know, like I'll just take it as a day to reset, maybe try to find a way to get inspired or come at something from a different angle. But there's a lot of days where I just do something that I want to do for myself. Especially lately, I've been getting back into that. Like I want to get better at illustrating. I want to learn new letter styles. I want to do these things that can kind of expand what I can offer my clients. And I think it's kind of paying off because I've been doing like some weird different styles that I wasn't really, I guess, known for. And I've been having clients lately be like, yeah, we really like that thing you did. Can you do something like that for us?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, like not to bring it back to religion again and everything, but I was doing like these like crazy black letter pieces, you know, like these gothic, like heavy metal looking letters. And who hired me? A Christian magazine for a Christmas piece to do black letter. And I was like, well, you know, like I'll take it.
You never know. You never know where that'll go. That's hard. Honestly, I think I find myself like in situations like that where it's like, I want to get better. I want to learn new skills. I want to expand my style and things like that. But so often I feel like I'm kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm pressed for time. Every time I want to go do that, I feel like there's something nagging at me that's like, oh, no. You should be doing something that's making you money right now. Or like putting your time towards something that's going to, you can have I know exactly how much or what I'm going to get from this, right? So if I put in time to build a course, then I know what I can get from it. But, you can kind of do that kind of stuff. But then there's other things where it's like, I just need to try to experiment. This is like, and in those situations, I feel like, is that easy for you to disconnect like your work brain and feeling like, okay, I have to be making something that eventually makes money versus like, I just need to experiment and play just for the sake of experimenting and playing. Something might come from it. Maybe I'll come up with an idea or I'll find a new style or something, but that's not the goal. The goal is just to play. Do you have a hard time doing that, or is that something that's easy for you? Because it's hard for me.
It's really hard for me. It's so easy for me if you bring me a brief. If you tell me what to draw, no problem. Right away, I have like 10 ideas. But if you sit me down and be like, come up with something, just what do you want to do? I have no idea what I want to do. It takes me like 2 hours to sit there and be like, what would be a good thing to draw? Like I could just pick any random word and make it happen, but like, is that as cool as like doing something like I really want to do once I get the idea down? Probably not. So, and I make it something that's more manageable. Like doing a course, like that's a big thing to do. Like that takes a lot of time and you got to come up with like the whole like overview and outline of everything. But if I'm just doing like recently I did a tribute design for Big L, like a rapper that I like a lot. It's 4 letters, like how long can that take you? How hard is that? So that's like a lot more manageable and an easier chunk to digest than doing something big that's going to take days or weeks.
Is there a pressure to feel like you need to continue to expand? I mean, I feel like you've been in this for a long time. You said you've been almost going on 20 years. I'm in like my 13th year or something like that. And I feel like there's this point where you kind of plateau with your style. You're like, okay, like I figured out who I am. This is what my go-to is all the time. Do you feel that itch to kind of elevate your style? I know you're doing that with illustration, but how often do you feel that? Because I'm starting to feel, I don't want it to stagnate. I don't want to become obsolete. I want to continue to grow. How do you nurture your style to keep it evolving? Like, how does it become something more for you?
It's tough because like if you venture too far outside of what your customers expect from you, then you start to like paint this picture like, what am I actually going to get when I hire Jason? Like, am I going to get this thing or is it like this totally off the wall thing that's like way left of everything else he's doing? Because I have this like miscellaneous bucket on my website. And if like you scroll through that, there's so many different styles that you're like, this might be like 10 different artists. Like, I'm not even sure like this is all being done by the same person. like which can be a plus too. You can do things that people maybe don't expect of you, but it is like with you, like I think of something very specific when I think of your work. Like I think of that, like that golden books, like storybook style and everything. Yeah. I know you have more than that in your bag. Like you have a whole lot of other things in your repertoire that you can do, but like that's what springs to mind first for you.
Yeah.
And for me, like I'm not even really sure what that is anymore. Like for a long time, it was like that kind of Americana Victorian look that was like really detailed and vintage looking. But, some of the stuff that you see lately on my page, like it's like comic book style lettering or it's like graffiti style stuff.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's tough, but I feel like I'm injecting more of myself into it as time goes on. Like for a long time, I was doing like what people wanted or expected of me, I guess. But like now I'm like, I like graffiti. I like hip hop. I like hardcore and metal. Like this is what I like, like see if it resonates and, comes back to me at all. And sometimes it does.
It's funny that it goes backwards that way. I feel like that was this. Like I tried to inject that early on, but I feel like I have the desire. Like I feel like I really want to inject more of me in my work now, and try to involve everything. Dustin and I were just talking this morning about all our antiques and stuff that we collect, and for another project that we were doing. And I was talking about junk and gab and all that stuff that I had been doing, and I was like, how can we do something with this? Like, how do we tie our hobbies into our careers a little bit more so it's more enjoyable? But that's like a priority for me now. I really prioritize the types of projects that come in, and they say they're from National Fish and Wildlife. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do, right? Like that's a perfect thing for me. But I put a lot more weight into projects like that. Do you find yourself doing that as well now? Like in some of those other jobs that maybe are pretty alluring before just because of the name, but not necessarily lines up with what you care about?
Yeah, that does happen. Like there's some kinds of clients and customers where I just straight up like won't take on, like, cause I either they don't align with like my values or beliefs or anything like that. But then there's some that like I'll take, but like I don't really care about them, like sorry, I'm about to name drop this client, but earlier this year, Philip Morris asked me to do something, like the biggest smoking company in the world. Like I'm not a smoker. I don't really like what they do, but the payday was good. And I'm like, somebody else is just going to do it anyway. So I might as well be the guy getting paid to do it. Right. Yeah. So like I did the work and I did it to, like the highest quality I could do. Like I never shortchange anybody. Like I want to give them the best possible product they could get. But like I do find myself not being like as into it in the process for sure.
That's an interesting one about Philip Morris. Like someone else said that. So we were talking about that with someone else and they said, well, someone was going to get it and I might as well be the one to get it. I think the same thing too. Like it's funny when money comes into things, like it really does, when you actually are paying the bills for everything, like it really does change how you make decisions on what you do. And you do have to balance between, I don't know, I guess like your beliefs on things versus eating.
It's like that thought experiment where you're like, would you steal if you needed to feed your kids, right? And you didn't have any way to feed your children? Like, what is stealing okay then in those kind of situations? And sometimes it's like, it's not that extreme, but it does feel like that some months where I'm just like, I got nothing and something comes in and I'm like, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to take it on because I need the money. And it really, sometimes it hurts my heart a little bit, on some of these projects. But
what's funny is like I could even tell that they knew it. Like,
oh really?
One of the things they wanted for an extra fee, they wanted me to put my name like on the thing. And they're like,
really?
oh, we want it to be like, a Jason Carne exclusive thing for us. And I was like, no, like I'll do the art, but I'm not selling this for you.
Is there a price that they could have said that you would have been like, yeah?
It would have to be something stupid, like really high for that. Yeah. But
yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, like I wasn't in the financial position to just say no to the whole thing, but like I was not going to do that.
Yeah.
But there's like some people that have come to me that I'm like, yeah, I'm just straight up not doing, like if it's like a Blue Lives Matter, that's not me. It's just not me and I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
Here's a good one. Very early in my career, I used to do lots of like metal artwork. And, you know, a lot of it is like gory, violent looking stuff, you know? But some people also like equate that with like hateful ideology, which metal's not really about, you know, like there's a small sect of it. Sure. But this guy came to me, some guy from Europe, and he was like, yeah, I want you to do my album art. And he literally was like, I want you to put swastikas on it and this and that. And I was like, oh yeah, totally, dude. PayPal me. And he sent me $500 and I just never did anything. I was like, what are you going to do? Tell people I didn't do your Nazi art? Like,
oh, that's the most metal thing I've heard.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an early career highlight, is stealing $500 from a Nazi from Europe.
From a Nazi from Europe.
That's like, what are you going to fly here and fight me over $500? It would cost you more than your money that you lost. Yeah.
Go argue your case to somebody. Let's see how receptive they are.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I wanted to move into like asking you about when you have picked up different styles. Like lettering is, I think, a great one to talk about. It could be like you've gotten more into illustration lately and doing different styles, but Brad, you sort of alluded to this earlier that, well, I think about doing this thing, but then I think about, well, if I do this, I could maybe make more money, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. There feels like, without doing it, and I'm assuming you felt this way too, you can look at this kind of lettering that you did. It's a long, long, long journey, it appears to me, to get any great results from it. Like, you look at what's that artist's name that you've talked about? That's kind of like a legend. He did John Mayer's album cover, but he's done so many other epic things.
Oh, Dave Smith.
Dave Smith. You look at that guy's work. You're like, okay, you're not doing that in a month. You're not doing that in 6 months. You're not doing that in a year. Probably not doing that in 5 years. You might be kind of starting to approach it from the side, a little bit lumpy and weird, or not quite balanced. Like, what is the story that you tell yourself? I feel like we all are able to do certain things because of stories we tell ourselves. What is a story that you're telling yourself when you have what appears to me to be like a mountain to go up that perhaps isn't even worth going up? It's hard to tell until you get there. What is the daily story you told yourself as you develop skills in doing that? Or if it's an illustration style now that you're still trying to approach getting really great at, what do you tell yourself like on a daily basis when you're sitting down to spend another day doing that kind of work, knowing that you have hundreds of days ahead of you that you'd have to do it in order to master it?
Going up that mountain, like, I don't even know if there is a summit, you know, like maybe the view gets better the further you go up, but like you can just always keep going up. Like even some of my favorite artists, you know, people like Dave Smith, people like Aaron Horkey, like their work is still getting better 30, 40, 50 years into their career. Like, I think everybody by now has probably seen that giant mirror that Dave Smith did that's hanging in New York at that barber shop that he spent like 2 or 3 years on. And it's incredible. It's like a lifelong achievement. Like every single technique that guy's learned his entire life is put into like this one project. And it's just like this incredible testament to like a life of craftsmanship. But he's still getting better, even beyond that. You know, like there's no settling. There's no like, oh, okay, I'm complacent now. I've reached, you know, my plateau. Like he's still got curiosity and interest and he wants to learn stuff. And I think that's what makes great artists really great, is that they never do really just settle once they get to a certain point.
Yeah.
So as you're doing it, you're sort of telling yourself, I'm enjoying just doing this and like learning tricks of it. Learning more about it. You're thinking of it as a daily enjoyment of it, not as how far am I from this ability to monetize this to this amount or whatnot.
Yeah. And I think there's like a difference between like Dave and I too, in that he's sort of almost in like the fine art category, right? Like I'm more of like a commercial artist. Like I'm solving a problem for a client for advertising and marketing. Mm-hmm. But the things that he's making, like, I don't even know what he makes on it, but he could probably sell something like that for $100,000, $200,000. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the cost is, but like, I'm never going to make that off of a piece of lettering. You know, it's just, it's not going to happen.
Sure.
But I'm fine doing like lots of small projects and like slow incremental builds to getting better. You know, that's fine by me. 'Cause like, I don't think I have the patience to do something like he does. You know, like maybe my stuff gets kind of detailed here and there, but not to that degree, like nowhere even close.
It's funny because I look at your work too, and a lot of the lettering examples that lettering projects that you've worked on, I'm just like, I wouldn't have had the patience for that. Like just seeing how much detail you put in yours, it's pretty wild.
I think the same thing looking at your illustrations, man. So it goes both ways. Like looking at some of those Parks posters you did, I'm like, I don't even know how you figured out this layout and composition and all this stuff. Like you have to balance and juggle so many elements with illustration. I feel like lettering is a lot more straightforward of a thing most of the time.
I wish. I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad every time. Okay, that's something about lettering that's I like to inject it into my illustration. Sometimes it feels like hand lettered stuff it's hard to find a font sometimes for like very textured, more organic type illustration. And so like just slapping a really rigid font on there, like a sans serif might look okay, but it's just still feels like there's something, they just don't feel like they pair super well. So I tend to try to do custom lettering, and I feel like I'm getting better over the years. I typically shoot it over to you, Jason, and be like, what's wrong with this? I made this. What's wrong with this? It looks weird, but I can't figure it out. But with lettering, what's the trickiest letter for you that you just get hung up on?
There are ones that are always like tough in certain compositions, and that's the ones that have a lot of empty negative space, like a J or an L or a P that just like sit awkwardly with other letters.
J, I can picture that.
Yeah, which sucks because I have to deal with it every time I letter my own name. But
to say, but it seems like a fun one, like to play with, because you can
at least you can lead with it.
Yeah.
True. But when it's like right in the middle of a word or something, it's like that just kind of totally ruins the rhythm of it. You have to get creative with it.
Sure. What is it? The G's, uppercase G's, kill me. They're so hard when I'm trying to do any sort of lettering because it just always looks funky for so long. I don't know how to get those right.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have the opposite? Is there like a letter that you find yourself like just drawing when you're just sitting around sketching stuff? A's, yeah.
A, like a capital A is really fun to work with, or an R. I don't know. R is like the coolest. I don't know why, but R, you could do so many cool things with it.
R and B, I find myself like drawing a lot. Yeah, both of those. There's a million like different combos of strokes and ways you can do it, and those are fun ones for sure.
Do you have a controversial take on lettering or font design?
How about we don't need any more geometric sans serif fonts in the world?
We're done.
We have enough. we don't need. We don't need Futura version 308. Like we're good.
Do you think so many people make versions of those just because it's like, I think I could do this one? It's geometric, right? Like it feels like it's an easier one to tackle. Or do you think what's the reason for so many people making that font?
I don't know. Like I feel like to do it well, it's actually more difficult than doing a lot of display fonts because you have no details to hide behind. Like it's either good or it isn't.
It's kind of just make it.
But yeah. But if you just draw like, a perfect circle and that's your O, like, okay, that's been done a million times. But if you figure out a way to like morph it just a little bit so it has a little style and flair and the whole alphabet flows, like cool. But a lot of it just seems like it's like repetitive, like copy paste, for a lot of fonts.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think about like AI when it comes to like lettering and things like that in fonts? Like my prediction is that I do brushes and textures. I think that the ramp for those things just spontaneously making themselves essentially is, I mean, it's almost now, but like I think within like 5 years, like it could eliminate the need for that. Like I could picture within that same time frame fonts being instantly generated with all the kerning and characters in, matter of less than a minute. Do you think that's true? And if you do, like, do you think it's good or do you think it's bad, and why?
I think it's bad, for artists for sure. But for the general populace, like I don't think they're going to see much difference. Like as a type designer, I see tons of subtleties and little things that could be better or picked apart, whatever. But most people are not going to notice that. They're going to be like, that's good enough. Print it, ship it, whatever. So I think it's definitely coming. I remember years ago, one of the first Creative Souths I went to had somebody from Adobe speak there. And they were showing this thing where they had like a generic alphabet, like a Futura, right? But then there was all these sliders on the side of the screen. And one was like serifs, and she dragged it and then just gave it serifs, the whole alphabet on the slider.
Oh, man.
You know, it was like before like variable fonts were even a thought. You know, like it was all these different things like condensed, you know, or wider, or like, you know, the thickness and the contrast of the letters all in these sliders. So I don't know if that's something that they just like shelved and never used, or if it's something that they're rolling into future software. But like if that was already 10 years ago, 12 years ago, however long that one was, you know, like I'm sure it's like right around the corner. Like it came for like illustrators and painters and stuff first, but like the type and font guys aren't far behind.
Let's say that came like, because I think these things are going to happen like overnight almost. Like I think like you're within a month, it will just, something will happen and you'll be like, oh, there it is. I don't think it will slowly evolve. Let's say like next month, like that kind of stuff was happening and the need for, say, lettering work was gone. I know you do other types of work as well, but let's just say, to keep it like a tight conversation about this, like let's say that that's mainly what you did. Everyone kind of says, oh no, well, people are going to lose their jobs. Artists aren't going to have work anymore. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. Like, what would you do? Like, if that happened, if the kind of work that you were typically getting essentially was cut to 10% of the demand overnight, what would you start doing? Because I feel like artists wouldn't actually stop. They'll kind of migrate to a different area of the field. But I'm curious, what does your gut say you would do if that happened?
That's tough. I mean, it's something that is definitely always in the back of my mind. Like I feel it coming like every other designer does, I'm sure. But if it does get cut down to 10%, like I think the people that are left standing are going to be doing very well, and they could command a premium for something that, you know, they literally can't get anywhere else. You know, if you're somebody who's incredible in your field, there's still going to be demand for what you do. Or if you have a massive audience that just like kind of sells itself. This is just like a big, broad, you know, thing, but like Banksy, you know, like somebody's always going to want a real Banksy. They're not going to want the AI Banksy, you know, like somebody of that level and that clout, you know, is always going to have work. But all the people that are kind of like at the bottom of the heap that are just starting out, like they're going to have a hard time. What I think I would do, I think like the move is probably move into something more like art director, creative director space, where you're still kind of guiding the art and you're still kind of informing what the process is, but maybe you're not the one doing it anymore. I mean, personally, I'd love to just keep doing what I'm doing, but I don't know if that's realistic.
What steps are you taking now, do you think? I've thought about this a lot too. When I first started out, I started realizing like I was arguing a lot about people ripping off my style. And then I realized that I was probably the one just like feeding into the same style that we all were doing. And it really, I didn't have much right to sit there and say, oh, you can't do that, because I was kind of joining in on the fad of the year. So I've kind of gone through this, and what I did then was I was like, okay, now how do I stand out from everybody else? Like I can't sit here and be stagnant with one style, because a lot of those people, you know, back in like 2010, were doing this very simplistic, minimalistic poster type thing, you know, like the Jason Munns. For the record, Jason Munn is amazing. And I have some of his posters in here, but people wanted to rip him off all the time and they wanted to create these things. So, but those kind of came and gone. Like a lot of those people that had a very specific style, I just don't even see them anymore. I'm like, I don't know. They kind of held on to that one style then and then never moved. So for me, that was kind of a warning sign. I was like, okay, I need to somehow evolve into something else. And that's where I kind of embraced more of my fine art background and started to do less the vectory looking stuff that I felt like people could do or a computer could generate, and what can I add to it that makes it so that people want me only. I feel like I'm feeling that again, not in the sense people are ripping me off, but now that AI could potentially take part of the work that I would typically get. Have you put much thought into that, where you're like, okay, this is what this is how I'm going to approach my work, or this is the thing about my work that makes me stand out? Are you thinking about that because of AI, or is that not worrying you a ton?
I think about it, and yeah, it does cause some concern, but I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you can't really do much about it. You know, like it's coming whether you want it to or not. It's like the Second Amendment people, like, we could fight back against the government. Like, they got tanks and drones, man. Like, your pistol ain't doing it, like,
Yeah,
it's
even
like
your
you
AR.
you could try all you want, but it's still right around the corner. I mean, I think people are always going to want tangible goods. They're going to want posters. They're going to want T-shirts. They're going to want like real things that they can hold. So I think that's one thing that like AI is still kind of has beyond its reach. So like if you can sell actual products, like I think you might be doing pretty good if you build up that audience and everything, like it's another one of those things like Instagram and those places are kind of like fighting you every step of the way. Like I don't have a huge following on Instagram, but it's like 15,000 followers. But when I post something, like 150 people see it. It's literally like 1%.
Feel exactly
like
the same.
1% reach. Yeah.
So I have 130,000.
It's not doing us any favors.
It feels like I get 150 people see it.
It's infuriating.
It really is. Yeah.
I think with AI, like I used to be way more afraid of it. Like I thought I was like, it's going to take away everything. And then I started to think, well, there's two scenarios that happen. Like one, it's everything that we've been fearing, and then we don't have anything to be worried about. It's kind of like when people I remember talking to an investment advisor at one point, and I said, well, what if the market just completely crashes in on itself and all my investments and stuff is in that? And he was like, brother, if that happens, you're going to be out in the streets with guns fighting over clean water and food. Like you won't be concerned anymore about your investments. So don't even worry about it. So if the really worst case scenario happens, you're like, dude, we'll have bigger things to worry about than who took our lettering or illustration jobs. If AI really does this nightmare scenario, and if it doesn't, and people are still okay, which I think is actually going to be what happens, I think that human beings are like products of supply and demand, like no matter what. So if you saturate, I hate the word saturate, it's not the right word for it, but if you flood the market with AI stuff, people will want things that aren't AI because the supply is too high and the demand drops, and then the demand for things that are not made in the same way shifts itself, and we're clever enough to find ways to do it. And if that didn't happen, it's going to shift to other places and there's going to be financial opportunities. Like people are going to make a killing. Like I can picture when electricity was first distributed, right? Like not invented or discovered. At first, I'm sure they were like, well, how are we ever going to do things again? Like literally energy no longer will come from humans and from animals. Now it's coming through wires.
Big Candle was really worried.
Right. Yeah. And we're not, right? Like it's something else. So you're like, I feel like it's going to kind of like do something like that. And it is unprecedented, but so is electricity. And so is like the written word. And so was understanding quantum physics and its applications to things.
Well, yeah, I think you're right in a sense, because like it's a niche market, but look at sign painting, right? Like in the 80s when everybody started doing like the vinyl plotters and everything and was doing the vinyl windows, they were all like, it's the sky is falling. It's the end of the world. Nobody's ever going to want sign painters again. Like now in every major city in America that I've been to, there's gold leaf signs and painted signs everywhere. Yeah. Because businesses like give a shit and it's way different and it makes you stand out from everybody else. So there's going to be that too with AI and human design, I think. Like there's going to be a bit of give and take. Like right now, short term, it might be bad, but down the line, maybe the pendulum swings back towards, everything being hand done and by humans. And I also think it's a bubble too. Like I don't think AI is going to grow exponentially as fast as it's been going forever. Like I don't know the exact numbers or anything, but I thought I read something about OpenAI taking like $200 billion in funding, but only making like $10 billion in revenue. Jeez. So like they're not going to be able to ever pay back their funding. Like the money just isn't there. So like something's got to give eventually somewhere.
They were saying, I think it was like literally yesterday I saw something, and who knows how much truth this has to it, but they were talking about rumors that OpenAI was going to go public in about a year, and that market cap would be like at over $1 trillion.
Jeez.
Wow.
Gosh.
Yeah. Like, and you're like, wow.
I can't fathom.
Well, yeah.
Well, even like NVIDIA right now is like 10% of the entire stock market. Like that's wild.
Right.
I always, these kind of situations, it's made me think about, and I asked you the question, and part of my own answer was like, I think about the things I collect, whether it's art or it's random antiques that I pick up. Most of the time, I buy them because I'll buy a lot of things just because they look amazing, but I like that they're authentic. That is the thing. I get gifted so much, and I appreciate the gifts that I get from my family. But some of the gifts I get are replicas, and they're like, oh, you like vintage things, so they like to get me vintage signage or whatever that's not actually vintage, or it's and
yeah, it's like a tin sign that looks like the old sign,
yes,
right? Yeah,
yeah, it's like very pixelated when you get up close, and it means nothing to me. Is the art amazing? Yeah, it's the same artwork, but it means absolutely nothing to me. It means something to me that they gave me the gift. I'll correct myself there, but
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Intrinsically, it means nothing.
It's kind of a moving target, like being in a business called Retro Supply, right? Like, would think about it all the time with things, and I was like, at first I was like, this is just this thing that's happening now, and then I realized retro things are as classic as anything. Like, even 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, people were doing recreations of the things from the time prior to them that they considered to be majestic. I mean, even Romans, right? We're getting things from Greece and pulling those into their influences. They were pulling retro things in. It's like someone today looking at a 1960 something Mustang and making it. It was the same thing. They're pulling things in that they love because they want to have that vibe that they got from it. So it's like, give anything enough time and it feels like the classic. In fact, sometimes you can't tell. You look at something and they're like, yeah, that is old, but that's just like a nod to this thing that you actually can't find from 50 years before that.
Yeah, that's so
and given enough time, the replica even becomes real. Like, look at the psychedelic rock posters, right? Like the Jimi Hendrix stuff and the Big Brother and the Holding Company, like those killer posters from the 60s. That was just Art Nouveau 50 years later. And now like that stuff,
that's true.
It's just as cool as that stuff is.
I remember like in the 90s, I remember, just all the grunge bands and Sub Pop and kind of indie labels that fit with that. And they had things like Speed Racer, I remember, and kind of Speed Racer type derivatives would be used in the artwork and things like that. You kind of see like in these early manga Japanimation type things. Back then, those were ripped from things that happened 10 years before that. Like, it was you kind of knew when you saw it that you were seeing something being ripped and repurposed a little bit, but it was still cool. And now when you look back, people like are wearing that being like the 90s one. And it's honestly to them more valuable than the one that came from before that.
That's such a weird thought. We actually have a pair of lithograph posters we've had in our house. We bought them years ago. My wife and I did at an antique shop, but they were replicas. They were replicas of something from, I think it was the 30s, an art done in the 30s, but it was a true beautiful lithograph. So sometimes it's like, maybe when they made it in like the 70s, it wasn't like, oh, lithographs, whatever. But I'm like, that's an old, that feels very old. And like the style of it, if you look up real close, it just looks beautiful. Like even the method in which they made it, they manufactured this thing, it's so dated that I don't even recognize it as something, like a replica. It feels so real and authentic to me. But the reason I brought the whole thing up in general is just because, saying it about those things, it really does matter. The story matters, or the fact that even just the fact that time had passed, so much time had passed since this thing was made. That's its own story. And so I'm trying to feel out, like, in my own artwork. I'm like, what's the story? Maybe that's how I combat AI. One of the other things that I would say is like the human aspect, the way you communicate with a client is huge. The way you interact with the client, like, they don't have that with AI. So that's huge. But the other part I would say is figuring out what your story is. Like, who is Jason Carne and how much of you? Now we want to emphasize Jason and everything that makes him cool. Cause then if you they're hiring you, they're not just trying to replicate your work because they need it to be from Jason, like, that's the story. So I feel like I've been that's been something I've been thinking about a lot in the stuff that I'm in creating. It's translated into my content creation, how I interact with my clients. It's how I create my artwork. It's like, why does this matter? And how could it be not replicated?
There's a little part of you feel like we're like at an age where like we get to like slide out of this like right as like the younger generation has to deal with it and like we're all safe.
Well,
yeah,
you
a little
guys,
bit.
Best of luck.
Your problem now.
Like,
Sorry,
well,
kids.
all these problems aren't mine. I'll already be retired by the time. Like,
yeah, we were the last of the true designers. You could just try something else now.
Yeah, but like with our work, I think like time gives it meaning too, right? Like something you're doing right now, it may not seem like it's going to be iconic or cool or important, but like 30 years later, like something might happen and it's like, wow, like look at this thing. Like this guy that I'm friends with on Facebook, Gerard Huerta, you know him? He's a lettering guy and he did a lot of covers and he did the AC/DC logo. He did Blue Oyster Cult. He did Time Magazine, like Nabisco, like all these huge things, right? But when he did AC/DC, like his art director's like, here, it's some rock band, just do a logo. And it didn't matter at the time. It was just another job that he like, knocked out in an afternoon or something. And now it's been tattooed on like 1 million people and it's the biggest rock band in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's even silly things that I look back at like early in my career, like when I was doing those MySpace layouts, right? Like one of the bands I worked with was this band, Waking the Cadaver. And like now they're a massive, like heavy band, like legendary in their scene, right? But at the time it was just like, oh, that's Don and the guys that practice in the next room down from my friend's band. At the time it was just like, yeah, these are just local guys. And now they tour like, Asia and Europe and everything every year. And it's like, wow, like I didn't know like way later on, like these guys would be, something major in our scene.
Mm-hmm. Was that Stranger Things when Kate Bush all of a sudden came out of obscurity from like the 80s? All of a sudden, all of her music
pop song out of 40 years ago, and
it's like the topping the charts and stuff. I remember somebody like interviewing her about it, and she's just as blown away as everybody else. Like, how many years gap has that been before she's like had that kind of fame? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird what pop culture can do.
So Jason, I don't listen to metal. I don't fully understand it. What is it that you love about metal? Like if you're trying to explain it to me, why should I give it a shot? Why should I listen to it? And then if you have what should I listen to first?
If you have to ask, you won't understand.
I'm genuinely
There is a little
curious.
truth to that, I think. It's not the whole thing, but there is a little truth to that. I feel like if you, I mean, I don't know your upbringing and everything, but like I grew up in like a pretty poor, rough town. Like I got in a lot of fights as a kid. There's a lot of like aggression and like, just pent up rage and stuff. And going out to a metal show, it was like this open space where anything goes. Like you could stage dive, you could jump off somebody's head, you could mosh into somebody, you could like spin kick somebody, like, and it was all fair game and it was all for like $10. It was like this free outlet to just go get all of it out. And I think metal and hardcore and punk, like all these genres are like very much a live music genre too. Like it's something like to be experienced. Like just sitting there, reading a book and listening to Slayer, like that's not the vibe. Like,
Okay.
It's very situational, I think. But yeah, like for me, I like the intensity. I like the extremity of it. Like when I want to hear somebody playing music, I want to hear them going full tilt. I don't want this like middle of the road. Like this is kind of this emotion. I want the full thing.
Yeah, you're right. Dustin.
When you say that, I think of like singer-songwriters and people that they can oftentimes maybe feel like a little bit like they're somewhere in the middle saying a message. Like, but like, don't you like R&B, right? Like, I feel like we've talked about Marvin Gaye and people like that. Like, aren't you a fan of that or not as much?
Yeah. I have like, jazz, R&B, blues, electronic music, all sorts of different things for, different vibes and different emotions and all that. I know you talked about this in one of your early episodes, but Elliott Smith, like I love Elliott Smith personally. It's definitely sad bastard music, I know
sad bastard music, but
yeah, I listen to it.
But the dude can write. Like when you really listen to what he's saying, like a lot of it hits like very hard emotionally, and that's what I think really resonates with his music.
Like I feel like when people create a world, like it does it for me. Like a lot of people, like especially when I was growing up, didn't like Smashing Pumpkins. All my friends, like in the '90s, Smashing Pumpkins were kind of, oh, that one. They're kind of a little bit like, I don't know. Why is he like, talking like, like this breathy, like that's not very cool. But I always felt like he creates this vibe. Like, dude, he created this vibe with a very limited palette. He couldn't sing very well. It was something that kind of had a weird goth thing that made you want to beat him up a little bit. But he made this he made a world out of it, man. And like, I love when people are like, I'm making a world. You might think it's crazy. And I feel like Elliott Smith fits into that in the sense that, yeah, it could be sad bastard music to some degree, but he wasn't thinking of it like that. And if it is, it's the golden standard of it. And how can you hate on that?
Yeah. What I appreciate about it is like, it's very real. It's very raw. It's very him, like nobody else could have wrote it the way he wrote it. Right. But there's a lot of people that I feel like it's just kind of like this generic soulless corporate music, like a band like the Chainsmokers. I'm never going to get into that. Like, that's not me. I can't do it. Like I get no value out of it.
What about the Gorillaz?
Gorillaz, I think, are super creative. I think it's one of the most creative artists ever.
Wasn't that little clip of the Gorillaz? Remember, like, it's really famous where the dude like has that old like little synth and he plays the beat and then he starts slowing it down, and then it ends up that he just got the default on 01 and turned it into
it's just a default thing from like a Casio keyboard or something. It was like this thing to play along with. It was like the demo on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And then he gets it down to that thing and he does it and it's like, ta, 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 and then you start singing and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, you can find this stuff anywhere. Like if you're creative and looking for it, you'll find it.
That's where you get the people that say like, oh, I could have made that. And you're like, but you didn't.
But you couldn't. Yeah. Because
you didn't. Maybe you probably couldn't.
You would be like, that's stupid. It's the first default. Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people say that a lot about like hip hop and electronic music too, with sampling, like, oh, it's not even their music. It's unoriginal. But they also clipped together like 20 different things and flipped it and changed the tempo and like made it play in reverse. And like, it's the creativity of the combination that makes it great. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those, there's accounts on Instagram and other social media places that will like break down samples of different things and show you where they came from. And the variety of stuff that they pull from, like a Daft Punk song or something. There might be like some 60s bossa nova thing from Brazil paired with like some like West African Zamrock stuff. And it's like, how did you ever even connect these two to make this? But it sounds incredible.
That's the stuff I saw like the Beatles, like some footage of the Beatles making music, and something was wrong. It was playing back really weird. And they were going to go fix it. And like, wait, no, I like that sound. That sounds like it's such an interesting, unexpected sound. Let's roll with that. Like, and I love that you can kind of take something and just be like, it's not perfect, but that's fine. Like, it's not what I was intended to do. And that's fine. I can find some way to work that into making it into an interesting song. And I was like, I love those kind of stories about music. Or they're kind of found.
That's another thing that I find myself liking a lot about heavy music. Is like a lot of the recordings are like very raw and unpolished. Like the performance you hear is what really happened. It wasn't, them tracking like one thing at a time and like, doing it till it's perfect. It feels like very in the moment, and it's like lightning in a bottle, just captures a certain energy. I don't know if it's true or not, but I read years ago that Dead Kennedy said if they couldn't play the song in 3 tries to record it, that they scrap it. It doesn't go on the record.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Dude.
Which is awesome.
So great.
Super authentic. I like that.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, whether that's true or not, you feel like you could attribute that to them.
Yeah, I love that.
That's something in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Rick Rubin? Like, some people think he's a genius. Some people think that he's just like created a vibe for himself where he just goes and lays in rooms and strokes his beard, and other people, their amazing engineers, carry the weight. What are your thoughts on Rick Rubin?
I think the truth's somewhere in the middle there. Like, I don't think he's this genius floating above us all, but I don't think he's nothing either. Like, I don't think it's coincidence that he touched so many iconic projects through his career. There's got to be something about him and the way that he approaches things that like brings out the best in the artists he's with. Like I think a lot of it's the talent he surrounds himself with. Like he's been with some really great artists, but like the records he produced do sound better in a lot of cases than the ones that he wasn't around for, even with those same bands. So.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is I remember
I
listening.
approve of Rick Rubin mostly. Let's say that. Yeah.
Okay.
I do too. Like, I mean, I get he does. Like, I listened. I got his book, and I got the audiobook version and which he reads, as well as the actual written version, and read and listened to it. And there is something about him where you're like, I can see how that would be conducive to a good environment for recording. And honestly, when I first heard things produced by Rick Rubin, I remember hearing, I think, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Rick Rubin, Tom Petty's Wildflowers, and something else. And I think it was a beast, something, I can't remember. And all of them sounded like they were just room mic'd. Like it just like someone got like some mic'd up a room and recorded. And I didn't even think it was actually that extraordinary. I was like, I guess this guy's famous for making a sound that just sounds like a room. Like it just sounds like someone mic'd up a room really good. And that kind of tells you something, because before you layer the lore on top of it, that's all it is. And then you realize, hold on, maybe the fact that he could just have the conversations with the people, that he could be like, you should do that. Like with Johnny Cash, right? It seems like a lot of what he did with Johnny Cash was just like, you should do that. I don't think he actually did anything brilliant for the sound, but he's like, try that song. You should do that. And that guy was like, man, no one's been paying attention to me. I thought I didn't matter anymore. I thought no one cared. And then he does it. And it wasn't that the dude was like, George Martin or something like that. At the soundboard.
Rubin did like a lot of the late period stuff with Cash, right? Like the Americana series or something at the tail end, right in the 90s.
I like some of his old music too. Like his old
I think this was his very last album right before he died. I think that's the only one that Rick Rubin did.
Yeah.
I remember watching where he covered Hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. There's something
That's one of the few examples of like the cover being better than the original. Like I feel like more people think of that version than the Nine Inch Nails version when they think of that song.
Yeah. There's really something. I think it feels so raw. That song feels so raw, and just because you can tell there's the age in his voice, you can, but it still feels like Johnny Cash, but there's just an added layer to that song, to me at least, because the way he's able to like, it just feels very authentic, really, really authentic. I like it.
Man, it is.
There's a couple artists that have like that end of life authentic recordings, like Leonard Cohen, like that last album, like it's hard to listen to. You're like, man, that dude is like, he was literally on his deathbed, like his son recording him while he's laying down, like his final thoughts,
really?
Like, and David Bowie too, at that Lazarus album, like it was just like,
they were
like,
that
I think he died like days after that came out, like
good
it's,
Lord.
There's something about like that finality and like an artist giving their real final statement to the world. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Freddie Mercury did that too in that last performance. And
yeah.
Was that the Live Aid one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was going to say with that Nine Inch Nails one, like I do love Johnny Cash's, and it's not a popular opinion, but to me still, being a 15-year-old in my room, coming home stoned from being with my friends somewhere and hearing the Downward Spiral and hearing Hurt come on while I'm listening, laying on my bed with that black light on, dude. That was the freaking beautifulest version of Hurt I've ever heard in my life. I mean, like, same with Purple, dude, from Stone Temple Pilots. Like, I have a similar experience. I'm just like, that album at that time, in that room, at that age, nothing could beat Purple in some ways for me. And yeah, same with that Nine Inch Nails one, man. I really love Johnny Cash's version, but I still give it to Trent Reznor for that, man. He did such a beautiful album on that, in my opinion.
It is great. Downward Spiral is still a fantastic record. I think my big one in high school was probably Alice in Chains' Dirt.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know why that hit so hard. Like I wasn't going through it like they were, but just something about that dude's voice and like the bluesy guitar riffs and everything, like within the context of heavy music, like it just sounded so much better than the whole rest of like the grunge movement to me, Like Nirvana's cool, Pearl Jam's cool, but like Alice in Chains was it for me.
Yeah, there was something about like Alice in Chains that gave you that vibe of almost like Chicago blues, like in the 50s when it first got really kind of heavy, like Howlin' Wolf or something like that. It's almost like the blues, Chicago blues of grunge music or something. There's something about his simple riffs that just are so heavy and soulful.
Just a real lot of feel behind it too. You know, it's not just intensity. It's not just heavy. It's got something more there.
Yeah, like some of those note choices. Yeah, there's just like they're not the ones that are typically were made in that era. I love the 90s, man.
It's all that nostalgia and the stories are. I think that's what preserves things. I think that's what keeps things alive is the fact that we kind of have these memories attached to them. And you kind of hold on to these things. And so I hope that's like what we're able to, it's weird to think that we might be part of that in what we're creating, which is kind of a weird thought. It's not the same as music, you know, but like art in general, some people have very like, you know, they have these really close memories with something that they've interacted with that maybe you've created, maybe the lettering you've created, maybe it was on a bottle or something that you've made. And it just at a certain time, you know, like there's certain artifacts that I collect behind me for that very reason. It's kind of cool to think that maybe some of that stuff that we've created will have that sort of provenance.
Yeah. Like even the piece you made for my wife, like I look back at it with good memories because like a couple of those animals have like since passed on and everything. And I'm like the big lizard that she's holding, like that was like her baby, but he passed away a couple years ago. So like when we get to look at it, we're like,
was it Reuben?
Like, oh, that's really sweet, you know?
Was it? Reuben?
Yeah, that's right. Reuben. Yeah.
Dude, I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah,
it's funny right when you said that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So like it brings up, you know, like good nostalgia, you know, like memories that we want to have. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Why do you think we all have stuff behind us in our offices. Some curated and put together in ways that are more attractive than others. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say which one of us has the weakest version of that, but we all have stuff behind us.
For people just listening to the audio version, they'll have no clue.
Yeah, go watch the video version and decide for yourself. Somebody
guess down in the comments.
Somebody here, their background looks like a disaster, but we're not going to call them out. What do you think it is about like designers and creatives that make them
not hoarders.
Have a hoarding gene, I guess? Like
there it is. Yeah.
I don't know what else to call it, but that we want to grab stuff. We just happen, I feel like, have good taste. So you pick things where it looks fantastic, pull it together. Why is that, Jason? Tell us.
You're a massive collector.
Man, I don't know. It's you know, it comes like all over the place. Like for the people that actually can see, you know, like there's like a graffiti sign. There's a fruit crate label above it. There's like, you know, travel postcards and then like, you know, painted signs, and it's just this random collection of like all these things that I think are like the sum of what I am. I don't know.
For all you guys listening, if you could see Jason's background, it feels like he could be a supporting actor in something like High Fidelity. And his background was like a professionally made set design. Like,
it looks really
where
nice.
He's talking to John Cusack on the phone. It's
and
so
there's no empty.
Beautiful.
There's not one empty part on the wall. Like
green,
it's just
dark green painted walls, posters, like prints everywhere, all different colors, and yet they all literally look like a set designer put them up in the best way possible.
Yeah. High Fidelity, we also get the call back to Sad Bastard music, because that's what Jack Black called Belle and Sebastian.
Remember, then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we worked at a record store."
Yeah.
What a legend, man.
Yeah.
So okay, this is out of left field. What item, like under $100, or items have you got in the past 6 months that just has been awesome for you? Just either change your life in some really cool way, or just you're just like, that was one of those things, man. I'm like, I'm so glad I got it. You know, every so often there's that thing and you're like, that was worth every penny times 10.
For me, it's always books, man. Like I just got that Oh No Typeco book. And just getting a peek inside that dude's brain for lettering and type. Even though I've been doing this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been doing this like 15, 20 years, like we've been saying. But like every time I was reading something from James, it's like there's some new nugget of knowledge that like I didn't know. And you know, if I'm this deep into my career, like, you know, I can't even imagine how much it would help somebody just starting out. And like Ken Barber's got that too with that, that letter form book. Like his is incredible. And I feel like every year we've been getting these new great books from like people that are kind of our generation. Like it's like our time, I guess, to pass on the knowledge. And I like that it's happening.
And that Oh No one, like I'm not a lettering. I mean, I have it because we started doing some retail stuff through Retro Supply. So like we're offering that book amongst a few other handful of things. But I have read through it and it's dense, man. He goes into all of the thought processes. Like it's not like a bunch of like pretty pictures type book. It's like the thought process with lots of letter forms, lots of iterations of the letter forms, lots of adjustments and sketches, but in a way like you're trying to pass a manual on, like you said, to the next generation so they can do it, not in a way so you can make a pretty coffee table book. And it's really amazing because of that. And from the man who made Wisdom Script, I think before he even knew he was going to make a Type Foundry, like I think he was just kind of dabbling in design and doing stand-up comedy. I think I talked to him years back and that's what he said, at least.
No way.
I didn't know he did that, actually.
You didn't know he did Wisdom Script?
No, I did that.
No,
I didn't know he did
comedy.
stand-up.
Oh yeah. Like if I remember correctly, I guess he can correct me next time I see him if I'm wrong. But I swear he was like doing stand-up. He said he liked stand-up comedy, and I think it was
that's another one of those things that seems like it could be true, even if it's not.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Wisdom Script was a class project, and it was just one of those things where the person is at the right place at the right time with the right background and the right skill level and creativity.
Yeah.
I mean,
wasn't that like his first font that he did?
Yeah,
and I remember seeing that like it was like on everything in like Home Depot or something, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "This."
And dude, do you remember? And this just doesn't exist. Like this kind of thing, I feel like we don't get this vibe as much anymore. Like Riley Cran's, what's it called? Lost Type.
Lost Type, yeah.
Beautiful fonts, very cool fonts, well presented fonts, limited amounts of fonts. Like it wasn't just everything in the world there. And you could download them all for free, and they were better than most of the other ones you'd find.
Oh yeah,
so
they were an
freaking
experience.
Cool,
I remember getting the more modern font because it felt so like it was a serif font. It felt really good from like the 50s, 60s, but the kicker was like the artwork that they made. Like they did a bunch of like mid-century modern illustrations to go with it to sell it, and then like to pair that with it. And then they got I got like a full like giant pamphlet that showcased the letter forms and the illustrations. And I was like, oh, that was such a cool experience to get. Like you got this physical artifact with the font, and man, yeah, I think it's a clever way to do it. Cause I feel like those kind of experiences I want more of, especially now.
One of my like micro collections is old house industry stuff. And back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, they were doing all those like physical mailing, like direct to consumer stuff. And they had all these killer just like pamphlets and brochures and prints that were just using their type. And they just looked incredible. And they were like, oh, send away for it. Like this is like pre-internet. Like we'll send you a disc and, here's our fonts and stuff. But it was so cool just to get that physical piece and like showing you what the possibilities were with this.
I
was telling Dustin earlier today.
Who did
Charles Anderson, Charles S. Anderson or something.
Yeah, I'm going to say with the French paper, it was a great marriage right there.
So good. Yeah. And they did it for decades, it was the look of that company
French paper. So then you have like French paper mixed with house, mixed with Charles Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant. And then you got like, I think you got the origin story of Aaron Draplin loosely tied into that. Like,
I think Draplin uses French for like everything, right? Or used to anyway. I don't know.
I heard maybe this is a legend or not true. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody somewhere. But I swear I heard that Aaron Draplin showed up at CSA Images with a friend that worked there looking for a job, and like they said they didn't have anything. I think that Charles Anderson told me this. Because I've talked to Charles Anderson a couple times, and then I swear he told me when I was at a conference, he was like, and then like 2 days later, I went downstairs and he was in the copy room copying stuff, and he just refused to leave. Again, it sounds like it's true. I can't remember for sure. Doesn't that sound true?
That does sound true. That's funny.
Gotta verify that with one of them.
We got to get some of these people back. We got to get some of these people on the podcast so we could talk more directly about these stories.
That would be a great derivative type of episode, being like true or not true, and just like get people on and be like,
you could make a bunch of shorts like that.
The copy room?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Because like with Jason, you almost
setting
want
the
to
record straight on all these rumors.
You like do backup guitar, like you're the substitute rhythm guitar player for Lamb of God, or is that not true, Jason?
Draplin's probably got to have a bunch. He's a folk hero. It seems like he's like one of those people that just has all these stories about him.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and especially because he toured around like he was like in a punk band or something like that for 20 years. So that guy's been every little town on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, can you talk about your vinyl? Like, you helped me get into vinyl when COVID happened. I was like, Jason, I can't leave the house anymore. I think it's time to buy a good record player and start spending that discretionary income on records. And so you helped me get a fantastic U-line turntable, which I still have. That thing is just like a good motor, a rubber band, and a platter to put the records on, and it works like a rock, baby. I mean, we have that thing going every day.
Yeah,
they do.
Like,
I went over and you told me
about
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But like, where do your love of vinyl come from? Like, you have a legit love of vinyl. It's not like you thought it was cool to show people that you liked vinyl. Like, you are like high fidelity dude. You love
How many
vinyl.
do you think you have? How many do you think you have, just so people can get an idea for how big this collection is?
Ballparking it, it's around 4,000. It's somewhere around there.
You're a record shop.
It's a lot.
Remember, like, records cost like $20, $30 a pop. More.
Yeah, and it's all, well, to me anyway, it's all good shit. It's not like the filler $1, like the Linda Ronstadt you found in the 50-cent bin. Like it's all like legit stuff. But yeah, man, when I was a kid, like, CDs were the thing. There was a shop that was within walking distance of my high school called Atomic CDs, and I would use my lunch money to buy CDs instead of food because that's how much I wanted new music. I would walk across town and I'd be like, what can I get with, $5, $10? And
so these
I'd go through the used bin. Yep.
Yeah.
Go through the used bin, find something that looked cool. And it was just like a blind buy. You take it home. Sometimes it was awesome. Sometimes it sucked. But the way I found more music was like the liner notes, like bands that they were thanking. Like, oh, we'd like to thank this band and that band. And then I'd write down the ones that I was like, oh, this name sounds cool. And I'd bring it to the guy. I was like, can you get me this? And they're like, oh yeah, it's an import. It'll be here in 2 weeks or something. And that's how I just found like a lot of underground interesting stuff early on. But as I got older, I was like,
I went to an art school down the road from it, like 2 blocks. After school, I go down with like whatever extra cash I had. They'd have used CDs. And yeah, like I remember getting like a No Alternative there. They had like an old scratched up version of the No Alternative CD, or so many. And you could get it for
do you remember what your first one was?
I think it was either, I want to say it was a band called Cop Shoot Cop.
Oh yeah. Good band.
Are you familiar?
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah.
Is he familiar? He said he has 4,000 vinyls. Just kidding.
They're good, man. That makes me happy that you know them.
Yeah, they're one of those bands I just looked at the name and I'm like, this has to be some wild shit. It's like you can't name your band that and just
I think the guy at the record store told me, or CD shop told me, he was like, the drummer plays trash cans or something like that, which I don't know is true, but I was like, that sounds so cool. And
yeah.
It sounded like he was like jamming trash cans while the singer sang, and it was awesome. That or Fire Hose. I remember getting Fire Hose.
Awesome. I think I might have Fire Hose on vinyl. I think I do have like a Cop Shoot Cop EP or something too.
Wow.
I think my first one was Sepultura Chaos AD. They're like this Brazilian thrash metal band. And I think inadvertently that like kind of kicked off my social justice, like political minded self, like when I was still at an impressionable age. Half that album is about fighting the Brazilian government because they were like trying to take away tribal lands and things like that. And I was just like, oh, hell yeah, this is awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Man.
All of a sudden you got really into Brazilian
lots
politics.
of times you bought music having no idea what it was about. Like, I remember going in there and you pick things up and you really didn't know. You almost had to try to find something like that you liked on it to make it worth it.
Yeah, I almost never do like a blind buy anymore. Like I almost always know like what I'm getting, or like I have a pretty good idea of it anyway. But there are some times where I'll like catch like a glimpse of like the record label on the back, and I know I like a lot of bands from that label or something, and I'm like, well, if they're part of this group, like it's probably going to be cool, and I'll take a shot on it. But it doesn't happen a ton anymore. Like most of the stuff, like it's a record that I already know I like, because at 4,000 records, it's like, it's got to be something I really dig at this point to get like, I don't need any more filler I'm not going to listen to or something. Sure. And it's becoming like fewer and further in between. Like I flip through stuff. I'm like, yeah, I've got that, So.
What percentage of this collection do you think you listen to, like actively listen to? Do you really just kind of pick and choose like all throughout it, or are you kind of finding yourself, these are my go-tos that I just kind of sit and listen to now?
It's more that, like, because a lot of the time when I'm listening to stuff, because my whole setup's in the basement and everything, it's usually like at night, it's, later, and I just want something to kind of like unwind and chill to. Like I have like hundreds of metal records, but it's not the stuff that I listen to the most. I feel like Massive Attack and DJ Shadow and things like that are more like trip hop or lo-fi, like I want to just like unwind to something that sounds cool and has like this textural soundscape or something.
What's a recent one you've listened to like that?
Like one I keep going back to?
Yeah, like just recently, like I'll have ones like I was listening to a while to King Lizard Gizzard and the Something Wizard. There was one album.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Dude, what's that out by them? Like it was just like, it's like it loops, and like if you had it on repeat as a CD, it just keeps going, and it just is this kind of like trip.
Oh, I don't even know, man.
Psychedelic.
They're one of those bands that releases like 8 albums a year, and I just can't even keep up with what they do.
Anyway, sorry. Off of me, like what? So, like, what's one that you listen to a lot lately, just to like unwind at the end of a day?
One guy that I've been like super into for the last few years is this rapper Billy Woods. He's an incredible storyteller, and it's almost like he's just speaking to you. He doesn't put on any sort of cadence or anything, where it's not his voice or anything. And the beats are like usually kind of like chill or a little dark, and it's not this real like bombastic kind of stuff. And man, like his latest album, Gollywog, which I'm not even really sure what that name means.
But I like it.
It is one of my favorite albums of this year. And his album Maps that came out a couple of years back is like my go-to anytime I'm flying. It's like a lot of nice travel logs and things, like stories from tour and things that he's seen and done in different places. And he's just like a true lyricist. And I really love his stuff. The other one is this band called Maruja from they're over in the UK. And they mix together so many different sounds that I don't even know what I would call them. Like they're like a rock band, but they've got a saxophone, and like sometimes the guy is doing like spoken word poetry. Sometimes he raps. It's like,
is it Marusha? Marusha? Is that how you spell it, or what?
Maruja.
Ah, okay.
Like Maruja or Maruja. I'm not even technically sure how it's pronounced. But I saw them live in New York at this little venue, and they blew the fucking roof off. They're one of the best bands I've ever seen. Absolutely.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's wild.
That's energy behind their songs. So listen to a song called Thunder. And if it doesn't like
Thunder, okay.
If it doesn't blow you away, like I don't know what you're listening to.
Something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Something wrong with me. I felt that way about we talked about this with Josh Ariza, but I went to a concert. I think it was for Shaky Graves, and I saw Sierra Farrell. She opened before cool. I like Shaky Graves, but before, Sierra Farrell opened for him, and I'd never heard of her before. And she's more like less country, more like American, more like folksy, and that's right. I don't really get into country, but I like folksy. It was really good. We only got a little sample, so we ended up going later on to an actual concert. It was like the most incredible singing I'd ever heard, because it seems so effortless. And I feel like sometimes when you watch people, you like have this whole new appreciation. It could not even be the genre that I'm typically into, but seeing them be so good at their craft or so passionate about it, it made me a huge Sierra Farrell fan. And all of a sudden, it's like, that's not even typically the music I'd listen to, but man, it's just incredible when you start and you listen to them live too.
I love when that happens, when you get like a totally unexpected hit like that live. Like my wife and I went to see Deltron 3030 do his self-titled like 25th anniversary tour a couple months ago. It's like a electronic hip hop kind of group, and Kid Koala is their DJ. This guy Kid Koala, and I've never seen a DJ actually playing records anymore. Like it's always like, they're doing the MPCs or like mixing off of CDs. Like he was like for real vinyl, like, grabbing stuff, flipping it, setting it up, getting it right on cue, and like all like the faders and everything, and like old school like 90s hip hop shit. Like I've never seen that in person, and it like blew my mind watching it.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Like the precision it must take to like, line it up and know exactly where that groove has to hit, like for that beat and that time. Nuts.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Someone who I've never got super into their music, but I've always just loved the like whole idea behind it was Daniel. Kurt Cobain was a huge fan. It's like a guy that recorded on. Yeah, Daniel Johnson, right?
Yeah, the hi, how are you guy with the little frog dude.
Yeah, and like everything's pretty much, if I remember correctly, like it's all pretty much just recorded into beatboxes.
Yeah, he just like did it all in his bedroom, just like sitting there, just writing songs and stuff, and it's cool.
Yeah, and I think he was like on the spectrum, wasn't he, to some degree?
Yeah,
aren't we all?
Yeah,
look at our collections. We're on the spectrum somewhere.
Is that a train I see back there?
Yeah, my whole entire train collection back here.
I love that aesthetic. I remember being like 13 and listening to like, you'd hear these B-side records of like different bands that they would release. Probably the record companies were just trying to make extra money, but the B-sides were so fascinating. You hear these B-sides and outtakes, and I would listen to them and I'd be like, I think I could do that, like, and that's kind of what was great about like Daniel Johnson is you'd hear him be like, I have a 4-track. It's a cheap 4-track, but I think I can make something that sounds that good if I'm really on my game. And that was exciting because you felt like you were chasing something that could like be done. Like, and even like with crappy instruments, like that almost made it better. I love that feeling, man. Like that's something that, I don't know, maybe that's around as much today. Sometimes it feels like it's not, but maybe it is.
I notice that with artists. I know that with just within our community, I feel that a lot. Like some people are creating things and I ask them like, well, what tools are you using? And it's just some tool that it's like dirt cheap. It's not even anything special, or they don't even have anything special to say about the tools that they use. And here I am like researching what's the exact tool, the best tool for this job. I do that all the time for YouTube stuff, like for my content. And I did that for Brave Kids Club for so long where I was just like, what's the lighting that they use? What's the this? What's the that? And then you see someone do those videos where they're just like, let me show you how to do lighting with just the things I have around my house. And I'm like, dang it. Like it looks just as good because it's the knowledge behind what you do with it. And I get sucked in so much to like, I need to have the exact thing. I need to have the exact guitar that they played so that it would sound that good. And it's usually in the creative's hand, they can kind of make anything look good. So it's good for like, I wish I would have understood that a little younger because I put a lot of money into things where it didn't make make me any better, even though, you know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff like video quality, even on some of this stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe it looks a tiny bit better, but it doesn't need to look that good. People right now on YouTube, especially, are looking for more low quality, authentic vibes in the videos. And they're kind of minimizing their sets and things because people are liking that human element. People just talking to the camera or even just on their phone. It's crazy.
Yeah. I just watched that movie about Drew Struzan, the poster artist. Have you ever seen that one? He's the guy that did the posters for like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Back to the Future. Like all the biggest
I know him, but
Hollywood stuff
that
ever. Yeah, there's a movie. It's a documentary about him, and they have like a lot of actors that he's painted. Like Harrison Ford's in there and Michael J. Fox, and they're talking about his work, and George Lucas and Spielberg. But when he was first starting out, he said he was like dirt poor. And he's like, my paint, he's like, I would stretch to the very last drop any way I could. He's like, it was like, we either buy paint or we buy food this week. Like, what do we do? Like,
gosh.
And, if somebody like that's even like top of the world in their industry, like had to start like that, it's okay to like buy the cheaper thing to start out with.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I think it's kind of fading off now, but I can't tell you how many of my favorite like illustrators or designers, maybe like 15 years ago when I was first getting started, or 10 years ago, maybe even, like, they'd be like, oh, all I have is this version of Photoshop and Illustrator from like 7 years ago. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be like some old version with no new features that you can't even get anymore, that like if you update it will ruin it. And they're just making the best stuff. Like,
there's still a lot of gig poster artists like that. They're like, yeah, I'm running CS3. I'm never upgrading it.
Hell yeah.
Says a lot.
And you
about
see their
it,
work,
though.
and you're like, I guess you don't need to. Like, it's pretty great. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, you don't always need all the fanciest stuff. It's not going to make you. It's not going to create the ideas for you. You know. So it's like half the time I feel like all this stuff that I get. Sometimes I can worry myself about the wrong things.
Man, these days, like, I feel like Adobe is like desperately trying to get. They're hiding buttons everywhere for like AI to be popped in. They're like, push this button, and like some AI garbage that comes out, and you're like, son of a.
There's always a little pop up that comes up, and it's like, use this, and I'm like, no, let me just work.
Yeah,
everyone wants to get on the AI train just in case. I have a good, maybe like close to last question for you. If you could put a phrase onto a billboard on a busy highway that everyone passes by, what would it be? I know you want to say fuck Trump. Don't say that. Can't be that. Something different.
Man, I don't know.
That's a huge responsibility.
I don't know. Like the graffiti artist in me, wants to do something like snarky and snide that'll get under a lot of people's skin. But I don't really know. I feel like we're at that point where like positivity kind of needs to come back a little bit. Like everything's so negative. But I don't know, man. I don't have a phrase off the top of my head.
With the graffiti, when was that? Was that just as a kid, or do you have any good graffiti stories that we can you can share?
Yeah, sure. Because it didn't last long. I'll tell you that.
Okay, good. This is interesting.
I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm like right south of graffiti Mecca, New York, and going to work with my dad when he was like a contractor. We'd be on the turnpike and the Jersey Parkway, and like every bridge, every tunnel covered with killer graffiti. So I think somehow that like planted the seed in my head that like lettering can look cool. Way before I even knew that it was something that you can be paid for. But when I got older, there was this video game, Mark Echo's Getting Up. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a thing that was on like the original Xbox or like PS1 or something like that. And it was a graffiti video game. And you get chased around by like the security guards in the train yard, and you'd have to like fight the cops and, do all this stuff in the game. And, after playing it for so long, and I was like, shit, I want to do this. I'm going to go out, and I got some cans, and I go into this alleyway, and I like broad daylight, stupid 18-year-old kid started spray painting. Cop rolled up on me immediately.
Bad timing.
Like
10 seconds after
Matrix is just like timing it out perfect for you.
Dude, arrested like the very first time I went out to paint.
You got arrested?
No way.
Yep.
Was that the last time then?
First and last. Everything else just stayed in the book. Like I would take like little markers and I would like tag up, like a bathroom mirror or a stall or something, but I never went out like painting again. Like I never hit trains and walls and billboards and all that stuff. But I still love it. Like I look at it all the time. Like when we're in New York City, like I swear I almost like crash into a car every 10 feet because I'm looking up at like the tops of buildings and stuff while I'm driving, trying to like catch a view of this stuff.
That's wild. The first time, what terrible luck.
Awful. I'm a terrible criminal.
I never see them doing it. I don't ever see anybody tagging anything unless it's for like a festival and they have like an area, quarantine or like roped off for that. But
yeah, my mistake was I did it like in a nice town at like 5 p.m. next to a supermarket. It was
like in rush hour traffic.
I didn't go out at like I wasn't like in all black 3 a.m. Like climbing a billboard or something. It was very stupid.
He's tagging the side of a Whole Foods.
Yeah, it was me and there's this guy I was friends with, this kid Ian, and he was a couple years younger than me, and he got busted too. And I kept waiting for him the whole time. I'm like, you gonna say it was you? Because like they didn't see me doing it. I'm like, I'm a fucking adult. You're the younger one here. Like you take the rap so I don't get the record.
Oh yeah,
and it just didn't happen that way.
Oh no!
Dang,
so what was the
he was like,
consequence?
"No,
What was the consequence?
It wasn't
for
much.
you?
Like I literally was like, I'll paint your wall. Like I'll fix it. Like, and they're like, yeah, okay. Like I paid a small fine and I repainted the wall, and that was the end of it.
Did you have to go to jail?
No, they like took my photo and stuff, and I took the ride in the cop car, but I didn't like stay. At the time, there was a guy that was like a captain in the police department, was our neighbor, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing, Jay? Like, why are you doing this?" And like, it was a guy I knew, you know. So he kind of like took it easy on me, I guess.
Do you remember what you were graffitiing? Like what you were writing out?
My graffiti name was Sonar. That was what I was trying to write. And then like later on, I didn't realize that Sonar was already like some dude that was like mega famous.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Well, it was like pre like internet, like where I could like search names and be like, oh, is there like some dude that writes this already?
Oh man.
So somewhere there's like the most rare graffiti in the world. It's like Sonar single piece under like 50 layers of graffiti. There's a single piece by Sonar.
Yep,
I need
that's
to go
right.
find this piece. That's wild. What a wild
on the side of a Stop and Shop in Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
Dude, I didn't know you were
my
from New
God.
Jersey. I feel like that like just like cements everything together in a way. Like now it all makes sense so much more.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw it last year, but my Halloween costume was Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And I feel like that's been like my surrogate cartoon dad forever. Very New Jersey of me.
That's freaking hilarious, man. One last one, because we're getting to the end here. What is the worst advice you've ever been given?
The worst advice. Okay.
The worst, not the best. The worst advice.
I've had people tell me to like just straight up not put any style in my work when I was starting. They're like, oh, you got to just do it like this, you know, like the most bland web design you've ever seen. They're like, this is what companies want. And I'm, you know, at the time when I didn't know any better, I was like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, because, you know, clearly they got work, they got business. And some of my like early stuff, like even before, you know, the MySpace layouts that I consider the beginning, like I did a website for a basketball coach that was like local, and it was some of the worst shit I've ever done in my career for sure. But it was like this totally soulless, you know, devoid of anything kind of look. And, you know, obviously that didn't take me anywhere. You know, it took me finding myself and my voice a bit more to start getting people interested in noticing what I was doing.
Yeah, that's solid advice. That's solid. Yeah, the advice you're giving is solid.
The inverse, yeah.
The inverse of that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's hard not to try to fit into some degree. You know, like I feel like when you're starting off, you kind of have to do that. I fell into that a little bit, where we all talk about injecting ourselves into our work and kind of finding your style that way. But I think part of the process of finding your style a lot of the times is finding something that you really like and trying to mimic it in a way. And then it doesn't feel very special for a while. But I think that is important to remember. The faster you can inject yourself in there, the faster you're going to find your own style. And people are going to come to you specifically, not just, well, I could go to anybody that can do this, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a reason they're hiring you and not somebody else. Mm-hmm. There's got to be something there that makes you stand out, makes you special, for sure.
Well, dude, thank you. This was fun. I'm glad you got to come on here and hang with us for a bit.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to jump on this. This was cool.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to spread the word? You want to plug anything that you're working on that we can all go check out? Ooh, or where can we find you right now? I mean, like, where's the best way to keep up with everything that you're doing now?
Instagram's the one lately. At Jason Carne on Instagram. Somebody needs to really push me to update my Behance because it's been like a year.
Dude, you can still find me on there too. Right? Are they telling you to do it?
They're trying.
Telling me to do it.
We didn't even get into the fact that you're both on Closer and Closer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They've been pushing to do the Behance, and man, I've been fighting them. I'll do it like sometimes, but I gotten really bad at updating that. I never used it before, so that's why I was like, oh, this feels weird.
Yeah, I mean, I do get stuff coming through once in a while from Behance, but it just feels like one of those things that's such a time vampire, like doing that kind of work and getting those case studies together.
For sure. People can still buy your fonts and things though, right? Like where can people buy some of this stuff?
Well, through Retro Supply. Dustin sells a good chunk of my Carmel fonts over there, or they could buy direct from Carmel Typeco. And then I have a few fonts with Ephemera Fonts, the guys out in Asia that do some of the best and coolest display type around.
They do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
And still got Lettering Library too, selling PDFs of old lettering books and stuff. Also sold by Dustin on Retro Supply.
Dude, it's such a good deal. Like I have to just say, like, people, if you're into lettering, it's literally like $10,000 worth of books put onto PDFs for like I can't even remember how much it is.
Some of them are like $10. Like some of these books. Well, I was looking on the website earlier on Jason's website, and like you can get individual books for like $10 and see see all the pages and things,
or all of them for like $200 or $300, and then like there's sales going on this month. Yeah, it's insane. It is, because like in the same way that Jason collects vinyl, I feel like he collected rare lettering books. Like there's nothing like it in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah, anything he collects, he goes all in.
he does. Like you're getting a treat. Like I was actually going to say, like, man, I wish I could, like, first of all, like, I wish I could like go to your house and like have like a drink. Like I don't drink anymore. Makes me want to drink, and just like sit down with like a 6-pack of IPAs and just have you play records. But if you want to do the equivalent with lettering, you can grab that pack, dude, and you can just sit down and relax. And every night for the next year, just browse through great lettering books. It's so cool, man.
Super inspiring stuff too.
They need to have you DJ like the Creative South or something like that.
Yeah, I think I did for like a half hour. They weren't really psyched about my picks.
Oh yeah,
they had that like radio Creative South or something for one of those years. I tried to like keep it chill, but like, see, I'm in a very isolated place out here in rural Pennsylvania, right? So like, what's normal for me, like most people are like, Jesus Christ, like why'd you put that song on? It's like I don't know. I thought it was just like a cool jam for like.
Like, is everything okay, Jason? Everything okay at home?
Like, that was a little intense. Like, we're just trying to like sell some posters here.
What do you say to the people that say you put the pencil in Pennsylvania?
I
don't know, man. That leaves me a little speechless.
It should. That was a wild question to ask.
That's what people are saying. They've been saying it for a long time.
I mean, that story, I don't know if it's true, but because I've heard it, it does feel like it tracks with something that would be attributed to Jason.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for being
I did
on,
work
man.
at a pencil factory when I was younger, so that tracks.
See, there it is. Perfect.
Did you really?
No.
Okay.
Dustin.
A pencil factory in New Jersey does sound like a real thing.
It does feel like a real thing, but you just got by your own. You are the king of sarcasm, so it feels sweet to have you be like, wait, is that real or not? Because I feel like I do that every time I talk to Dustin. Really? You really told me the truth?
It's been a pleasure, man. You're always fun to talk to. Thank you so much for, hanging out with us and sharing some stories and some advice and recommendations.
Yeah, it's been a good time, guys.